Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your associated organized hosts. Joining me as always is our other associated and organized host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
What's the crack? Those are good words for not what I expected. I'm starting to be like, okay, what words is he going to use
What sort
this
of
week? Yeah, not what I
wild
expected.
shit will he?
Yeah.
Jeez. I like
What words? What more words don't I know, I guess,
I
too.
found some more insane ones, but I thought those two worked quite well, so I just kind of landed in those. Yeah, not every week's going to be an insane one, but next week I'll
You
just have to
say
turn
that.
up. I say that, yeah. Next week I'll just have to make it even more crazy to make up for it.
It's April Fool's Day here.
Yeah.
So far I've had salt in my coffee,
Oh wow, who did that?
the children and my husband.
Nice.
They're like, here's your coffee. We got it ready for you. And I was like, cool. And I like took a sip and it was the cruelest thing ever. Cause
You looking
it
forward to
took
that
my
coffee?
brain. It was like, this doesn't taste good. What does this taste like?
Mm-hmm.
This tastes salt. Like my brain was just like literally like they could see the gears. And then I was like, walk over to sink, make face, spit out. Like couldn't even handle it.
Were
Free
they like
coffee, like
were they like watching you?
horrible. Yeah. Yeah. And Mike like was laughing until he was crying because he's a giant child. Then they were like, oh no, the dog like pooped because like we have fake poop because we're awesome.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh fuck, like didn't know where to let her out this morning and you fed her breakfast and like it's not her fault. And she's like laying in her cage and there's fake poop next to her. And I was like, oh no, I didn't know. And I was like, come on, Star, like not your fault. I'm so sorry. And then I looked and I was like, I recognize that shit. And then they put lemon juice in Charlie's toothpaste
Okay, wow.
and
Uh-huh.
salt water for his breakfast. And then they put Harper's little like blue children's chair at Mike's desk. And like Charlie has a fake mouse.
Uh-huh.
And they put that
Nice.
instead of his real mouse. So he was like, they were like cracking up. And
Wow,
apparently,
that is like a
and it's 10:14
I was
a.m. my
gonna say
time.
it's so early. But you
So
just have to be on guard all day.
gonna be a long day.
It
And
is.
then I found so we had we I had an or I'm grinding my teeth
Yeah.
and also like when my wisdom teeth came in, I guess like it moved my teeth around and my front teeth are starting to like show like fissures.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get braces.
Oh boo.
Like I'm 40 fucking 4 and I have to have braces.
Can you get like the cool invisible sort of ones or
They're more so it's like I could, but they're more expensive and
okay.
they take longer. So I could do 6 to 8 months of regular braces,
Oh, six
or
to
I
eight
could do,
months as well. Jeez.
yeah. I mean, I had braces for 4.5 years
Okay.
because you'll see my heritage is varied and
Yeah.
you know, I don't do you remember the Simpsons episode where he's like they're at the braces office and they're like the big book of British smiles?
Yes, I do.
It's all like I was that.
That's the
Oh, I
like
have like a photo of me in fourth grade where I have like all my teeth are like overlaid. They were horrible, horrible. So I had braces for 4.5 years.
that's the like go-to Simpsons joke about UK people. I remember like there was one time people were doing proposals for like a casino that Monty Burns wanted to open, and it was a British themed one. And like the hostess was like in like a Union Jack dress with just this big smile and all these teeth going everywhere.
Going everywhere.
Can I get you a pint? And he's like, no, get it away from me.
That was me, just without the accent. So yeah, so I'll see you and then in a couple like in a month or
Yeah.
no, like 3 weeks. A month?
Yeah. No, it's about a
Eh,
month. It's more like a
month.
month, I think.
And then
Yeah.
I'll get home and then the next week I get braces.
Fun.
She was
Okay, so
like, she was like, "Do you want to get them in April?" And I'm like, "No, I want to go to the
I
UK and I
want to
want
look
to
cool
like,
in the
I want to look
UK.
cool with my friends in the UK, man." So,
I love
you
it.
know, yeah.
Okay.
So
That sucks.
that'll be yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna sound like, but I can do. It's like I can do anything for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. It's not that big a chunk
the
of time,
older
but
you get, the more you realize timelines and time scales. It's like just fucking do it.
yeah.
So I'm just gonna fucking do it.
Yeah, good
So
for you. Awesome. That'll be nice.
thanks. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
what is there any
So
other
Harper also needs expanders and braces. So we're gonna have braces together.
be the Brace twins?
Expanders though.
Oh,
Ugh.
expander sounds grim. Or do they put is it do they go
It's
between the teeth?
they put it in the palate. They put it on
And
the
it kind of
palate and
pushes.
literally like I have to turn it at night to expand her fucking mouth.
There's that look of horror on my face as Beth's
It's
describing this.
so
it's
bad.
like a rack or something like that, but it goes in your
It looks
mouth.
like a torture device. And they were like, this is
Wow.
what it looks like at the dentist. And I was just like, and she was like, Harper's so excited. She's like, I want braces so because she's like gonna get braces and expanders. And I
Is it
just the level of pain, like I am not gonna break that to her.
rough stuff? How long would you have to do that for?
6 months.
Yikes. Okay.
And then braces probably for like a year to a year and a half.
I'm sorry to hear it. That yeah, but
So
but yeah.
thank you, my heritage.
That's true. That's true. The big book of British
Big book
smiles
of British
again.
smiles.
Pan off.
I know.
Uh,
What's the crack with you?
what's correct for me? So I was telling Beth just before the podcast I was away for like a board gaming weekend.
What do you call it? He calls it island time. I'll be on island time,
I
so I
whenever I'm
respond
like
right away.
Yeah, whenever I'm like, I'm not going to respond anytime soon. And like, honestly, people were messaging me on Thursday and I didn't reply back to them the Sunday. And it's not like I was super busy all the time. I was just like, that's my outside life. This is not happening currently unless it's like super urgent. You just can wait.
Yeah.
But it's just, I really like it because I'm very comfortable there. I really like playing board games. I love the experience of sitting around a table, you know, from my social, perspective as well. I'm not always crazy about talking all the time. That's what, one of my peculiarities. So like I love having an activity. I love, sharing that activity with people I like, that energy is really rewarding and it's a nice space to be in for a while, so it's great.
So you were like 3 days? 2 days?
Yeah, no, more like well, closer to 4 actually, because we arrived
Or
on the Thursday and then we left on the Sunday. But like, I mean, we literally left first thing on the Sunday, so barely, more like 3. But
that's
still
awesome.
nice. Yeah, it's
How
great.
many people?
9 of us.
9. And then do you like find a new place to go, or do you just like find a place that will house 9 people?
We have done it in the past, but this is one we've been to a few times before because it's great. It's a wee bit more expensive than some of the others, but it's really not too bad, and we know it's good. And also, like in the past, especially from my point of view, because I've had a cook, that we have been in places where their kitchen is a fucking disaster and it's really hard. Like, the oven barely works, it's and like I've described it on the pod before, the knobs on the like cooker were so broken, I had no idea I was in full heat, but it was a shit show.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to this place because I know it works, but there are other headaches cooking in somewhere you're not used to because like I had brought these pans for the thing I was going to make and they didn't fit into the oven. So then you're like scrambling for something else. That didn't even occur to me as a possibility. But whatever. It
You don't
was
have big old American ovens
it's
that
true.
put a turkey in there
Sort of one.
or
I mean, like
two.
you could fit a turkey in my oven probably, but like yeah, this oven was like yeah, a wee fella, but it was fine.
A wee fella.
A wee fella. But it was nice, and it's good to see a lot of those folks. I don't see them all the time, and it was just good to be able to spend some time with them. So it was nice, much needed.
That's so great. I love that you do that with your friends.
Yeah.
It's like we all like I have my friend groups like we'll get together, but like the primary, it's either like basically the primary activity is drinking
Yes. I mean,
and
like
eating.
there was a lot of drinking and eating going on that weekend as well. Don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
there was also other things happening, which was nice.
Yeah,
Because like
yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know if I'd want to do that with holidays that are just based around drinking and eating, but I absolutely do, and I will, and those things will still happen.
Yes.
There's no avoiding them, and they're fun sometimes, but I like the change of pace that this brings. So it was
Good.
good. So it was
Yeah.
very nice indeed. But yeah, that's cracked me this week. I think that's all the sort of super interesting stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Do you have any occurring?
I do. Someone was like, what? Like it was I think this is on YouTube. So
Uh-huh.
we do YouTube shorts, so just like whatever we're talking about will pop up in someone's feed. And so someone was like, this is so random. Like I live where Johnny Appleseed was buried. So Andy did in was it our last episode?
Yeah, it's a couple of episodes ago, 2 or 3.
On where we did a terrible job of mangling folklore.
Hmm.
So Andy was telling the story of Johnny Appleseed, and like this person was like, it was in my feeds. This is so random. So Johnny Appleseed was buried in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, nice.
I know. And then we were cleaning the kids' rooms, we were all fighting over messes, and the children were crying
Nice.
about their dirty rooms. And Mike was like, do you want this book? And he pulls out The Legend of Johnny, or The Adventures of Johnny Appleseed. And I was like, what is going on with Johnny Appleseed and me now? It's like
Wow.
he's appearing everywhere. So I think I need to actually read the book.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because I was like, I didn't know that he spread apple seeds. I felt bad.
And then you can do like
So
we
when
can
I'm
do a Johnny Appleseed revisit episode where we educate
where I can
everybody
actually,
on.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
perfect. That's good.
that's what's occurred. And yeah, people like the story of the Japanese dog, and like lots of tears and
Yeah,
over Hachi. So
that's
check the
nice.
episode out. It's terrible, but funny.
Yes, yes, terrible and funny is a good way to describe it. I
Uh-huh.
I wonder like the current thing I was gonna say, and I was talking to Beth about this just before the podcast started, was that like some folks who I know who listen to the podcast were excited about Beth's visit, so we're maybe gonna
Yes,
try to
I'm coming to Ireland.
dun, dun,
Da da
dun.
da. So,
Um,
and actually, I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry, but
you're
I'm
not.
gonna. So, I look at our stats and demographics, and on Spotify, the demographics have been um, more USA listeners than UK listeners.
Hmm.
But now there's like 9% of listeners are from Ireland, and then like 41% are from England, which means that you guys are winning. So
I mean, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that victory.
come
I mean,
on, Ireland.
pretty good, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, Ireland, pick up those numbers.
But for a small country, that's
It's
good.
true. It's true. Yeah, I mean, we do pack a lot of clout.
So you
Something we
asking
can get into.
if our listeners want to do a meetup, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that, but like, I
Oh,
mean,
and our stalkers,
yeah, I don't know if I need like
we love you
any.
too.
Yeah, we love you too. Yeah, but if anybody's about, I guess at the start of May, reach out to me and we'll see what we can make happen.
Yeah, it'd
Uh,
be fun.
yeah, it would be fun.
You have friends, so I'm impressed.
Apparently so. Yeah, like so. This sort of fiction of all my friends is gonna fall apart very quickly.
Can't make it. And it'll be you and me in a
Exposed.
pub.
Beth's gonna like notice that the door behind me just collapses, it's made of cardboard. So this is I'm living a lie
The board game.
in my hovel. Yeah, the board game thing is just a big picture.
Taped to the wall.
Yeah.
Ah. No.
So somebody else was talking to me recently about how some people are going to be looking in my background trying to figure out what the games are. I'm sure that's like,
Just move your head for a second.
no, I refuse.
No, it's
Block them.
like
And I'm blocking as much as possible.
I will say, like, just going to a board game store with you, it's not it's not, I know you have like the normal stuff, but it's
Yeah,
like it's stuff that no one's heard of
yeah,
if you're not like a board gamer, like a career board gamer,
very
like
much
Andy
so. Yes, it's true.
and his lovely friends.
It's true. Like I mean, no, I was gonna say I'm on the lesser scale with my group, but I'm probably not. I'm probably have one of the larger collections amongst our lot. But it's a mixture of games that I love and I don't want to sell, and also laziness in terms of games I have not played for ages that I probably won't play again. That I
Mhm.
need to actually get around to selling those. So
I'm
let's
like
see
that
if
with
I.
books.
Oh
That's literally like that is exactly the way I am with books.
yeah, it's hard to say goodbye. But
And I
it's
reread them, some of them. And some
yeah,
of them I've never read, but I'm like, I'll get there
yes,
someday.
yes. I
And like
have
I bought the book in college.
Wow, okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely have some books like that as well, in fairness. I
Yeah.
really do. Um, yeah. Um, okay, I think that's everything what's occurring from both of us now. Shall we get into our topic for the week?
I think so.
Okay.
Um, so
Do you
we're
want to?
talking about clans of the bits. What? Go
No, no,
ahead.
no, no, no. I kept interrupting you. I apologize. Go ahead.
What the fuck,
I
Andy?
know. Get your shit together, Andy.
What do you need? What do you need?
No, no, no.
What
I
is
didn't
it?
don't need anything. No, no, no. Please continue.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about clans of the Bendy,
Uh-huh.
where
We are.
we are we are. So it's going to be this is I'm excited and I did some like genealogy
Mm-hmm.
homework
Mm-hmm.
because but we can get into that, and it's interesting and also uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So
As all sort of truth in, right?
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And it's like it's just interesting how my history doesn't define me yet. It doesn't define me if I don't know what it is, but now that I do, like I feel like I've got some homework to do, I guess.
It's the
But
Schrodinger's cat thing. Whereas, like,
yeah,
before you know something, yeah, it's weird.
yeah,
It is. It's interesting
yeah,
how that works.
yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I guess do you? And is there something you want to like lead off with on this, or any thoughts on that?
I think um I just kind of want to talk a little bit about what, because we had talked about like when you originally presented me with this idea, you were like, let's talk about tribes, like our
Yes.
tribes. And I was like, oh, I can't talk about that. And then you were like clans, and I was like, well, that has a different connotation here. So I just kind of want to talk about what clan means in your country and tribe means in your country, and what tribe means in my country, and what clan means in my country.
Okay. I that's that's a good question, and for that, all I can sort of say is my perspective on things. I mean, I probably I, I understand that groups, and in particular certain groups in particular, there's a lot of politically charged stuff, and the idea of national identity and everything gets all stirred up in this kind of crazy stew that causes all sorts of issues for people. Um, but when I think about those things personally, when I think about clans specifically, I think about Scotland. So, like, for many years, and I think about both of them in historical terms. Like, I like the idea in application of groups and stuff like that. In our modern era, but like predominantly, I think Scotland was ruled by a series of different clans, and which would be tribes, I guess. I think I always kind of think of clans as like a progression from tribes. So a more sort of formalized version of that.
Mhm,
And they would tend to be unified around a certain name or a certain sort of, family that kind of ruled those clans.
mhm.
Um, Tribes, for some reason I don't really think about clans so much in Ireland. I think about tribes, Irish tribes and things like that, but again, my knowledge of that sort of stuff is limited to an extent. Um, so yeah, I guess that's where in terms of my thinking about both of those things, that's kind of where I'm at with that, sort of older, more historical sort of groupings of humans in Ireland and UK,
Scotland.
probably. Yeah,
Okay. That's
Scotland.
interesting.
Yeah,
It's so interesting because it's so different here. And I think part of it is because I mean your history is so deep and goes
yeah,
so long into the past, whereas like clan here, you say the word clan and everyone's like, oh, it's the Ku Klux Klan,
yes,
which so the KKK, like that's immediately what people think of. Um, and tribe, I think, is more associated with the indigenous Americans.
that makes sense. Yep.
And so if you say tribe, if I say like, oh, this is my tribe or whatever, then like I'm that here, that's appropriation. Whereas
Ah,
yeah, there it's not. So it's interesting that there's such a difference.
yeah. I suppose that is, and I suppose maybe because I mean, like, and I don't know how true this is. Like, there is probably quite a through line genetically from
Yeah.
tribes, clans to
Yes.
where we are now. Like there probably
Yes.
that probably isn't true. And like I know that, certainly throughout history, like, in terms of Vikings raiding, like there was like
Yeah.
tons of like people were
Yeah.
wiped out and replaced by. So eh,
But like
as
you're indigenous.
yes, yes, I think my and certainly in terms of my knowledge for like my family history is the Youngs are Scottish. It's a Scottish clan. It's a Scottish name. There's like a young tartan. Did you know that? I told you that.
No.
So
I looked
like,
up tartans today though.
yeah. So
So
basically,
tell people what a tartan is.
okay. So you probably are. Probably for most people, your familiarity with tartan would be on a kilt. So whenever you see a kilt, all two times, not a utility kilt, a normal kilt, a traditional kilt. It is a pattern, normally symmetrical, I guess. So lines and sort of patches of like different of color and whatnot. There's so many different ranges of tartans, and it might be interesting for folks at home to like type in their second name and see if there's a tartan for them because like
Mhm.
who knows. But they kind of represent, I suppose they're kind of like a flag in a lot of ways, but not as kind of limited as a flag would be. It's something that can it's a pattern that can continue rather than a oftentimes hexagonal sort of shape thing. I mean, not that like a flag being hexagonal stops people turning it into items of clothing, of course. But you know what I mean?
Yes.
So tartans, but like say most of the time, uh you see a Scotsman wearing a kilt, he's probably gonna be wearing his own tartan, though I might be scalded about this by my Scottish friends. I will find out. So we'll
Okay.
have we'll
Okay.
have an update about that soon, I guess, if I'm wrong. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I don't know where I was going with all that, but yeah, or how I got the tartans.
So your last name is Young and
Yeah.
you have a tartan. So you have a like you have that's your clan.
Yes, that would have been historically my clan. Yeah, I
That's
guess.
so cool. You have a freaking clan,
It's true.
dude.
Yeah. And I don't even think about it.
That's so
It
cool.
is. I know. I know. But it's like, you know what it's like? And I think I said this to you before. It's like there is one of the most well put or kept Norman castles in the UK in my town. And I'm just like, whatever. It's across the road from my yoga studio. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't care. There's a castle. You just take it for granted. And I suppose it's the same with that. Like, these things which I know that, there are, and I've certainly seen American folks who travel to kind of find out the origins of their clan and their
Mhm,
histories and things like that.
mhm.
And whereas, and I can only speak for myself, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, okay, very nice. Who cares?
It was interesting. We live by um an indigenous reservation, and so we did a field trip to see sort of like where it's a museum and they show you, what plants they would eat. And um Harper's two of Harper's best friends are indigenous, and so we were
Nice.
there with her parents, and you could actually see where they had ground down these big rocks by the San Diego River, and that's where they would like crush the acorns to make the flatbread. And I was just standing there with these kids' parents, and they were like, yeah, our grandparents would come here, and like, this is where they would hang out. And like, there are two Kumeyaay tribes. Have I talked about this already?
I don't. You haven't? No.
Okay, there's like two versions of the Kumeyaay tribe on this side of the San Diego River, on that side of the San Diego River. And I was just like, it's so cool that you were able to see where your, grandparents or grandparents were literally living and living off the land. And,
Yeah.
like that's so far out of my realm of knowing where I come from, because it's like once they run you through Ellis Island in New York City, right? It's like so I've had to really dig into finding out kind of like all the places that my ancestors have come from. And just the fact that yeah, your young castle is right there, and like it's like your people are like you're in no one really thinks on this side of the pond
Yeah.
that you're indigenous.
It's true. And I mean, like, I think, and it's, even in terms of,
Jealous.
yeah, even in terms of like, you know, the stuff that you see on walks, like old, um, you know, foundations of buildings and certain forests and things like that, are old ancient walls and things like that. It's a very sort of odd experience because, and it is another thing you really do take for granted because it's just how it is over here, whereas I can see there'd be almost like a sort of identity crisis, I guess, in a lot of people in the US, where it's they're craving that sort of, I don't know, foundational sort of, I say buildings in the literal terms of foundations, but also in terms of where they came from. It's
Yeah.
so interesting.
I think that part of what we're dealing with is that we're a really young country. We're like 300 years
Yeah,
old, right? We're not that old. And people don't consider themselves to be part of a clan. A lot of times people don't really consider them I'm gonna give you the list of what I am,
mhm,
and I'll get into some of these other things. Like I'm Irish, I'm Welsh, I'm Italian, um, I'm Mohawk, I'm Ashkenazi Jewish, I am French. Did I already say that?
mhm.
So it's like, how do I connect with all that? Right.
Yeah,
So a lot of people have there's so many things, right? Because once you drop yourself in Ellis Island and move to Virginia or move to New York City, like you're in the melting pot and everyone's marrying everyone, and
yeah,
all of a sudden, like, your family tree and all of your history is divided up into all of these like bigger chunks of different countries. So I don't consider myself to be any of those things. I think most people probably just consider themselves to be American, which is
yeah,
super lame because then I'm missing out on all of the foods and history and lore and, like reconnecting with my ancestors. And I think that combined with the fact that we're a young country, but we also don't know where we came from,
yeah.
totally creates an identity crisis and makes it difficult to find your place here.
That's like it's. I suppose I'm both, the best and worst person to have this discussion because, I have never felt much connection to, the whole idea of national identity and feeling connected to a place purely because you were born there has always felt kind of strange to me.
Mhm.
And um and I see so much of that sort of way of thinking like weaponized as a way to get votes and all sorts of different things, and I really, and yeah, and it happens everywhere, and I'm not going to get too far into this, but like it's kind of, I don't know, it's just really nuts. So I don't, we talk about it on this podcast, and I struggle with the whole idea of, am I Northern Irish? Am I Irish? Am I British? And I don't really feel any attachment to any of those things, honestly. Like I don't, um, and I see negatives to lots of those different things as well, in certain ways. But um, I don't think. And like, don't get me wrong, I am in the midst of a full-blown identity crisis, lifelong.
Honor and right.
Yeah, go
Always
to
in the midst.
go team. And uh, but like, it has never been anything to do with that. I have never felt that. I just wonder whether for people who are maybe searched for that in the past and then they found out, oh, this is my history, this is my origins. Has it given them some peace? Has that, has the conclusion to that journey helped them? I don't know. It's something that's always very interesting to me.
I just followed from our Bendy Facebook page. I followed like I love Ireland and like
Yeah.
traveling in the USA. And it's interesting to see how many people are literally going to Ireland to find their like it's a must be a thing.
Yes,
And I think
100%.
in my own mind, I'm like, I'm Irish, so I'm going to reconnect. Like, I've never been there, but like, okay. So here's what I found out.
Hmm.
I am both of the O'Bannon clan,
Okay.
which apparently is connected with Leap Castle.
What, Leap Castle, you
Leap
say?
Castle is apparently the most haunted castle in all of Ireland.
Okay.
So I'm super excited about this because I love haunted things and like anything macabre.
Oh, nice. Okay, okay.
So
I don't know this at
um
all. How
I
interesting.
know. And there's a whole like there's all these stories about like why the castle is haunted and um so yeah, that's like I traced my heritage back to like the late 1600s.
Hmm.
And then I'm also of the McGowan
McGowan.
McGowan,
Hmm.
which is County Down, which
Yep.
is Northern Ireland.
That's Northern Ireland. Yep, yep, yep. I have.
So it's I was like, holy macaroni, like it's right there.
There's
So
still a ton of McGowans about
okay,
for sure. I've met and went to school with some for sure. So
okay,
yeah, it's still
okay.
a common name around here. Yeah. But like, I mean, and again, I'm probably going to be getting this wrong, but like, certainly the MC at the start of the name is a traditional Scottish name as well, which
Interesting.
I think I've
So
went,
O would be Irish and then Mick
yeah,
would be Scottish. Huh.
by and large. I mean, like, I'm sure there, I mean, I come to think of it, I definitely do know some the mix that are like Irish in nature. So yeah, I will put a pin in that because I don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't know. That was always my association was mixed with Scottish. But now I think about it, I think you see them both here, but both on both sides. But I think that also maybe speaks to we've talked about this before that kind of Ulster Scots connection. So Northern Ireland and Scotland have always been very culturally and genetically linked in a lot of ways. So there's probably a fair bit of crossover there.
Gotcha. So um also I think here I guess like if I had to say like, oh, we're like based on like where my family like where my family lives, like my clans live in California, Oregon, and New York City,
Yep.
just based on where that family lives. But I think Americans think of themselves more like we definitely think of friends as part of our clan
Yeah.
more than maybe more that would fall that's it definitely like you hear people calling them like my family or
Yep.
whatever, and it's like I definitely identify with like my groups of friends as being part of my like inner circle.
Yeah. And I think that's always had more meaning for me as well, in terms of um like, even this weekend's past, my board gaming kind of clan, like I
Yeah.
have, and it's more based around, friendship, I guess, than anything else, and the connection through like shared interests or shared ideals, which is
Like our
always
yoga group is definitely like
exactly,
our
which is
yeah.
very much about clan. I mean, and like, for me, not having really done yoga until like about 6 or 7 years ago, and now it's like such an important part of my life, and the people in it, are so important to me.
Hmm.
Um, so I think, that's always been the way I have, in terms of clans, the way I have thought about it is with, those groups of friends, the people who have meaning to me in that way. Family's
Hmm.
important too, I think, but you know, those are the things that have brought most meaning to me in terms of clans and stuff. Those found clans.
Hmm. um so you're so you're half Scottish, right?
Yeah,
Can we, do you want to get into that?
yeah, I can get into it. Like, I mean, in
Okay.
terms of, I have not ever done any of the like 23andMe or whatever the hell they are. I've not. I have been curious about it, but I'm not massively so. I mean, I suppose I'm half Scottish, half English because my mom was born in England. Her, but see, but like, it's so intermingled in this country. But so, her father was from England, but her mom, I can't remember which way around it worked either. It was my grandfather, grandmother had family over here.
Mhm.
So I don't know whether our origins lie in Ireland or our origins lie in England. So I don't really know much beyond my immediate family who I kind of, ever spent time with. And, hearing stories from my granddad and things like that. Um, it's odd to me that I have never really had a desire to seek that out. Actually, now that I think about it, because it's so important to a lot of people, but I think I'm quite forward looking. I mean, like obviously my anxiety would tell you otherwise. Or sorry, depression or whatever it is. But I really try to. So it's just never. I think the most likely th reason for me to ever do one is if somebody like gifted me a kit or something like that. I don't think I would ever actually make the effort myself.
Listeners, gift
Yeah,
Andy a kid.
gift Andy a kit. You know what?
Someone can steal his data
If you're
and
gonna
his
gift
DNA.
if you're gonna gift me a, if you're gonna be gifting me a kit, add an L to that word and give me a kilt instead,
A
okay?
kilt.
That's what I really want. That's the important thing.
Utilikilt.
Yeah, specifically
With
a
no
utility
tartan.
kilt. I mean, like if you want to give me an ordinary kilt and put pockets in that bad boy, I'll not complain either.
So, my grandmother did our genealogy,
Uh-huh.
and so that's what I've been doing all morning, is like going through all of this stuff and finding like, okay, so like my last name is Martin, but they changed it when they came over, when that faction of family came over on the ships
Hmm.
to Ellis Island, and so they my last name should be Saint Martin.
Oh, interesting.
I know. So patron saint for helping those in need. Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
that's nice.
So I guess like I'm descendant of I've got sainthood like running through my blood.
Hell yeah. And isn't it like a city in like the Caribbean as well, St. Martin?
Saint
The
Martin, yes.
Mountain. Yeah, I thought so.
Saint Martin. So that's my friend, the French side. But yeah, so like I did the 23andMe thing, and like I did find there are Saint Martins that I'm related to,
Hmm.
but like my family decided to just drop the saint, and I was like, why, man?
It is
Sounds
cool.
royal.
Yeah, it sounds quite cool. Like it really does. I do like a Saint in the name. It's really cool.
And then I also found she really like went super far into all of this. I found a Pioneer Family Certificate
Uh-huh.
from Missouri. So like my descent, like my ancestors were like part of the Oregon Trail. Do you ever play the
Nice.
Oregon Trail game?
Yes.
Yes. So like, you know,
It's
we all died of cholera, and
yep.
like, I never got
Dysentery.
the oxen always drowned, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I was actually like, apparently they gave those certificates out, and it was like a sign of like, woohoo, you were a
You made it.
pioneer, descendant of a pioneer.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So
How
and
how far
then
how far across is Missouri? Sorry, I'm just a little
it's
bit.
like the other side. It's the so I have a lot of family in Missouri. I have a lot of family in Virginia. Had a lot of family in Virginia. I
Wow,
still have a lot
that's
of
yeah.
family in Quebec. I have a lot of family in New York. So it's like that side, the other side of
Yep, yep, yep,
the
yep, yep.
country. And that's
But
just because like really, for those in the UK that don't know this, like the Oregon Trail was a huge deal because um everyone lived on the East Coast and no one really had ventured to the other coast. And that's what the Oregon Trail was
yeah.
like they went from the East Coast all the way to it ended in Oregon City, Oregon. And that was Lewis and Clark with the Lewis and Clark expeditions.
Yep,
So,
yep.
and then one of them killed themselves. So, yay,
Oh yes,
discovery.
I did. Yeah, yeah. That's one of
I
the
can't
dark.
remember if it was a Lewis or Clark, but you have the diaries and it's all like sad. And I read that as a child at at the Oregon Trail Museum. It's this big museum in Oregon City, and but it's like they're like giant covered wagons. It's like a building that looks like a giant covered wagon. And like at first they had like tarps over the whole thing, like huge tarps. And then
Hmm.
it was like rain and mold and wind, and they were like ripping apart, and it just looked terrible. So they were like, no tarps. But yeah.
Interesting. I
And then
don't
the
think
work, yeah.
it's
And
it's
then I
uh
found out that my family fought in the Confederacy, and Um, not the Union, the Confederacy, which
Yeah,
is the people fighting for the South, the people
yeah,
that wanted to keep slavery going.
yeah,
So, and I told that to Mike, and he was like, yeah, he's like, that's why a lot of Americans don't want to know our history because it's
yeah.
fucking horrible.
That's true. And like in recent, you know, in the grand scheme of things, in fairly recent history as well, you know, it's kind of wild. But
Well,
you
and
know, people are responsible for, you know, the actions of their ancestors. You mean, like, I understand that even maybe a controversial thing, but like, I mean, you didn't make those decisions, and like, yes, uh, maybe things need to be taken into account or whatever, but I don't know. Damning people with that sort of stuff is bad, I think.
I don't know how I feel
Yeah.
about it yet, but it feels shitty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, but I mean, all countries have difficult histories.
Yeah. And
It's just this is so recent for
and
for us, and it's just so ugly.
it's kind of, and it's something I was gonna talk about later, but like I suppose it's that, you know, I had a conversation with a friend recently as well, and he was talking about, like, you know, the colonizers, like Portuguese colonizers and English colonizers, and, you know, German and all sorts. And like so many of them were like, we are bringing God to these people, we're saving them. Do you know what I mean? And that was the kind of attitude. Now, absolutely, it seemed to also like go hand in glove with like looting the shit out of these countries, you know. So like it wasn't all this moral sort of thing. But for some people, they thought that they were helping when they were doing something appalling, you know. And and these general sort of ways of thinking just seem to change so slowly, so glacially slowly. They have to be beaten out of people over a long period of time. You know, it's kind of grim.
Yeah. So it was, and I remember like when I was applying for colleges
Hmm.
that my dad was saying he was trying to get me like we were trying to see if well, yeah, he was trying to figure out which side of the line I was on. Was I Canadian Mohawk or American Mohawk?
Hmm.
Because if I was American Mohawk, then it was possible that I could get like some money for college and scholarship. But then find out no, it was Quebec, so I'm Canadian or First Nation. Um, and then I remember him saying, Your grandmother says that you can get money from the Daughters of the American Revolution, or no, wasn't that. It was like literally like, no, it was the Daughters of the Confederacy. Like they're giving out scholarships. And I like now I'm like, oh my God, that's so messed up. It's so messed up.
How wild.
I know. Ugh.
I
Like I don't
mean,
know if it's a thing anymore. Probably it probably is, right? Like given our
it's
political
probably just being rebranded
landscape.
somehow. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like it's
probably.
not a good look
Probably.
for us. Uh,
Or is it
I know.
right now? I'm
Uh,
not gonna go down that road.
no, definitely not. But like you know, and it's so interesting because even like I remember well the Dukes of Hazzard, you know, back in the 70s or 80s, and they're had a Confederate flag on top of their car or the bonnet of their car or
I
whatever.
still see those around.
Yeah. And like
People they paint their cars to look like that
it's
here.
become like a symbol of like a badass outlaw rather than, you know.
Did I ever tell you I met Tom Wopat?
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. I was at a conference. Because I used to run an auditorium, so it was like
Uh-huh.
for people that ran like big event spaces. And I was there with people that were running like coliseums and big like Petco Park or whatever, Madison Square Gardens. And then there was me like running an auditorium for 800 people in Portland. But yeah, he was the keynote speaker.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I love it. That's great.
And I grew up in Floyd County, but like right next to Hazard County in
Nice.
Kentucky. Yeah. So
So
it wasn't that cool.
you saw those Hazard boys
Right.
burning up the roads. I love it. Yeah, it's all so odd, you know. And it's, you know, it's obviously one of these things that's such a complicated topic and so dangerous and divisive as well, you know, but
Yeah.
it's, I don't know. I mean, like I am, you know, very much, I mean, obviously I'm in a privileged position to like just be like, can we all just, you know, be cool to one another? And I understand a lot of not cool stuff has happened in the past, that, you know, a lot, you know, but, you know, wouldn't it be nice if we could all just, you know, get along and work towards our uh, futures together? But, you know.
It's uh so on bumper stickers are really big here. It's how people get
Hmm.
across like all of their
Hmm.
feelings and ideas. Someone just had on the back of the car, raise nice humans. And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's where I'm at. Just
yeah,
raise nice humans, be a nice
it's true.
human,
It's true.
just be
And
cool.
like I think that
Don't be an asshole.
don't be an asshole. And I think that like so many of the clans that you know people tend to get into, they're kind of born into them, you know, like there's so much of it is just that doesn't stand up to any scrutiny because they've never questioned it or have had any cause to scrutinize it because it is so entrenched in how they think about or you know view the world, you know. It's kind of
What
fascinating.
does that mean to be born into a certain clan with a certain like what does that mean?
And so I guess, you know, the way I would look at it, and certainly in terms of the specifics of this country, is, you know, you're born into the Protestant religion, you know, which is, you know, what I was born into. You're therefore seen as like a unionist, you know, you're keen to uphold the sort of union between Northern Ireland and Britain. You know, you believe that this land, Ulster, is, you know, yours. You know, you've lived here for X number of hundreds of years, so therefore it's your land and all this sort of stuff. And you're staunchly against, and you're told that, you know, as I, I've got to, you know, just in terms of sort of get in trouble with my family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was never, they didn't really care that much about it. Like, but I've seen so many people that it still has so much meaning for, and they kind of hate, you know, so it's very much in opposition to Catholicism and you know Catholic Irish people. So there's always an antagonistic you know element to it, which I really hate. And it's sad that it's so kind of foundational to that, you know, it really is. Um, so I think that's how I think about it in terms of being born into it, you know, this thing that is probably gives you a sense of community, and I see the power of that. I think that's one of the big appeals of religion over many years, is that it gives you that community that people
Mhm.
need, you know, and I
Absolutely.
totally understand that it's important. um so I think it just has become, you know, that where it's just it you know, how could you reject something that is so entwined with all the relationships in your life and all the people who are important to you? um it's, you know, dangerous, I think, and potentially very dangerous. I mean, I'm not just talking about my own personal experience or the situation here. I'm talking everywhere, you know. It's, if you believe these things unquestionably, then it's easy to like use those to manipulate people.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, just look at history. Aha.
It's true. And like I had like, yeah, I don't know. I had other thoughts on this, like, and but I don't know even where to go to from there. But it's I don't know. I'm just waffling now. Yeah, I
It's okay.
don't know. Like I've come to
You're
the end
like
of my
moving
thought.
on.
Cutting all of this. Probably, maybe.
Really?
Oh no,
It's
I know
that
what it.
fraud?
Huh?
Oh, okay. No.
Uh, no, I know what I was going to say. Because so I have, well, my sort of overarching theory in terms of like all sort of decisions that people make are that they're rooted in either an attempt at controlling things or an attempt at building connections. Uh,
Interesting. Can you
yeah.
repeat that for me, please?
So all sort of decisions are rooted in either trying to control things or trying to build connections. So connections are control.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Huh.
and I think like and I think that because like people, the whole sort of you know no man is an island type thing, but like the amount of guys I know who do basically try to build themselves as islands is staggering to me. We need these connections and we need these sort of clans. They can give our lives meaning and they make us feel sort of valued and important, I think, which is pretty key to like living a complete-ish life. It's kind of nuts.
So do you think that I don't want to put I don't know kind of what is space is treadable and what is
Yeah,
an area where you
don't
don't
worry
want
with
to.
me at all. Like,
Okay,
I
I
don't
know.
care.
I know. Well, I also don't want to put you in a position where you're like talking about things that are odd or weird or like
I don't really
uncomfortable.
care. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I don't think anybody, I mean, who knows who's gonna listen to this, but like I can probably handle it in terms of, any sort of backlash I would take for this.
Mhm. So do you think this concept of clan has anything to do with like this idea of men being male and rah 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 and all of that and being an island and not focusing on your mental health?
Yeah. I mean, like I think that is definitely a big part of it. I mean, like
Interesting. So it's like cultural.
it is. And I because like so many of and it's also right, it gives you purpose as well, these things
Yeah.
and finding purpose in life is definitely a tough thing and a kind of necessary thing for I think everyone. So I
Unless the
think
purpose is like, oh, I'm gonna fight all these other clans
yeah,
because territory or
I
what?
exactly, but I just hate that so much of this stuff is like wrapped up in like opposition to other clans, and it's like why is that needed? It's
Mhm,
just
mhm.
unnecessary completely, in my opinion. But like it is a useful tool in getting votes for things politically. It's a useful tool in getting support for things, which really sucks.
Mhm. It's interesting. Our country has no concept of like clanship or like this family's name, so we believe this,
Yeah.
or it's definitely, I think, I wonder, I'm just spitballing right now, but I wonder if there isn't sort of like our country isn't like find your roots. They're like be American, right? And I
Yeah.
wonder if that's um politically based or at least was politically based
It's interesting.
because, we did separate from England. That was a little rough of a transition,
Yeah.
haha, right? But like I just wonder if and I again, like I don't want to, I'm not trying to offend, but I I feel like our culture is so lost.
Mhm.
And I feel like so many people I know, are really only identifying as, an American, America first, made in America, as opposed
Yeah.
to like these are the places that we came from. And I think there could be so much that could be learned from that.
Yeah.
Um, like you could, have ancestors that have a haunted castle in Ireland,
That's
like
true. It's pretty
super fucking
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
The most haunted castle in all of Ireland. I'm
But
saying
yeah,
that again. It's so cool. I was so
that is very
excited.
cool.
But really like, I think part of it has to do with getting votes because
Yes.
they don't want you to identify as, I'm Irish, I'm Welsh, I'm French. They want you to identify as I'm an independent, I'm a Democrat, or I'm
Yeah.
a Republican.
Yeah.
Those are the clans that we are dealing with right now.
Very much so. Yeah, they're very important and it's kind of sucks. And like,
Yeah.
and it's not really, so it doesn't really become about what's best for the country or what's best for the people in the country. It becomes about, what is in people's heads currently and
Literally.
how do we manipulate them with that information, which really sucks.
Yes, over the next, 9 months, how do we
Yeah.
do that? Or March, April, or whatever months between now and November.
Yeah, oh no, good luck with that. We also have a general election this year, probably. I don't think it's been announced yet, but that's going to be a shit show too.
Yeah.
Um, but I heard a good thing recently, uh, um, about tradition, which is a big part of clans and whatnot. Uh, Somebody describing tradition as peer pressure from dead people, and I'm like, it's perfect.
Mm.
It really is perfect. Uh,
Fascinating.
I and it's always I always
We don't
find
have that at all. It's
yeah,
literally like what is happening right now. That is so interesting.
because there's so much of stuff that is like, well, this is just how we do it because that's the tradition, and it's very, I don't know. It's like, well, it's not good for you. It's not good for other people. But you're still doing it because this is how we've always done it.
Because of your family name.
Okay, because this is where you were
How
born and stuff. And I'm
interesting.
like, I just find all of that so fascinating. I really do. Like an anthropology major.
Were you?
No, not at all. No, no, no. I was communications, which is
Oh, okay.
I told you that
Your party degree.
about my party degree. I told you like, and it really summed up my degree for me. There was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer was like a football coach for a while, and he was like helping the kicker practice. And for whatever reason, the first kick the kicker took, he fractured his ankle. And Homer goes, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry. You've got your degree to fall back on. What is it?" And he goes, "Communications." And he goes, and
No.
I was like, "Yeah, that basically sums up my degree perfectly." So yeah.
I'm a humanities major, so I think I
Mhm.
could say the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I
Yep.
literally went in and I had all the things, and I was like, "What can I make out of this?" And he was like, "You
I
take 9 more classes, you could be a humanities major and graduate with that." And I was like, "Fine."
Perfect. Like the thing is, and I could look back at that and go, what a waste of time that was. But from that, I met some of the best, some of my best friends. I made some fantastic friends from that. I had a great time. I got to spend 6 months in the US, in North Carolina, and travel about a bit. That degree allowed me to like teach English in foreign countries. So I mean, it was super valuable in a lot of ways, just not in the way that I had sort of anticipated it being.
Mhm. It's funny.
You know,
You teaching English.
I know.
And they're like, "Did they have accents like you?"
Yeah, well, no,
Or
I
did
went
you
to,
have to did you do like a newscaster accent when you were
I
teaching?
was basically told, I don't think this happened until I was in Taiwan, but like I definitely had to like sand off the edges for Korea as well. But I remember like doing something, and a teacher basically said, "Yeah, you can't talk like that if you're going to." So I had to do like a sort of transatlantic sort of accent for a long time, which was, I think that's why I really don't have as strong an accent, and I use
You
words.
do, honey. I'm
I
sorry.
know. I know that I do, but like,
I
but
have to
it,
do the caption editing, and it's like, how does it think he said that? No, I get it.
uh, it's going to be interesting when you come over here to see what other accents, how you
Okay.
find uh,
Okay.
the native accents are. Um, but like, I having to do that like transatlantic accent was just grim. But I got used to it, and I understand why. But like, it was also really fun teaching kids like slang from like your own country and things like that. And my Scottish friend who like taught some of the kids that I taught had taught them all like Scottish slang and stuff. It was great. It was very entertaining.
That's so sweet.
It was.
Highly entertained by this idea.
It's
I never
great.
really thought about it. And I'm like, were they like these little South Korean children like speaking in Irish accents?
They would like they come out with things occasionally like that they just remembered, and it would always delight me. And one time, and I didn't know about this till well afterwards. One of my good friends, he taught one of the classes. So there's two friends of mine who both listen to the podcast. I think
Yeah,
were taught in the same school I taught in. I know one of them does for sure. One of them has listened to a fair chunk, but
I'm so sorry.
yeah, I know. Sorry, guys. And uh one time I went into one of the classes and I don't know why, but they all collectively started going like sort of slam their desks, slam, slams, clap, slam, slam, clap. And I was like, this is like We Will Rock You, and it was like, yeah,
Duh, duh, duh.
they were doing We Will Rock You by Queen,
Wow.
because one of my buddies had taught them that, and I was just like, what
Got
is
blood
happening?
on your face, you big disgrace.
So good. That amused me now.
I was a teacher's assistant, and now we're just like off topic, but I was a
Yeah,
teacher's
totally.
assistant for a long time, and
Hmm.
we would sing that song. I
It's
put on
great.
Queen.
It's a
Yeah,
cracker.
totally
Um,
is.
it really
Totally.
is.
Like you hear it at every like sports game here.
Yeah,
So
it's awesome. It really
yeah.
is. But yeah, I don't know if there's any other sort of thoughts and stuff that you have on plans,
I
before we
just
kind
think
of,
it's interesting how different it is here and
it is.
how um you know, I do feel the law. I think if you can feel something that like the loss of something you've never had,
Yeah,
which is that feeling of like coming from somewhere. Um, and it's
yeah,
like I come from my parents, I come from my
yeah,
grandparents. Like I know who those people are, but it's not related to any kind of country other than,
yeah. And I,
Missouri and New York. Like that's what I got.
yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's always like, this is a crazy old life, and
Yeah.
we, and it's quite short in the grand scheme of things. So I don't know. I think it's just about kind of living right now, and kind of, for yourself and for others as much as possible.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm also cynical about these things, so I don't know how much.
No, really.
Yeah, me cynical? No. So that's why I've always kind of been a bit kind of against this in a lot of ways. Generally, I just see uh the more damaging side of it, than the positives. And I've always been lucky to have connections and, friends and groups, clans through other means, so I don't, yeah, I've always
You
kind of
don't
been,
subscribe.
I don't subscribe.
That's unsubscribe.
Unsubscribed, which you should not do for us.
No, 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 no.
Yeah. But yeah, it's such an interesting topic, and it's such a like, and it's always so interesting to me just in terms of how charged these things are, and how like certain words become, because I would have, when we first talked about this and I was thinking about clans and tribes and all that sort of stuff, I would have just put them in one big sort of pot and been like, well, they're all the same, but it's so interesting to me how, for somebody else that could be, depending on which one of those words you used, it could be have such an explosive sort of difference.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. But as I think as a way maybe to wrap things up, Bendy Clan is all about love and acceptance, and um being excellent to each other, as Bill and Ted said.
Right?
So just do that, folks. That's all the clan you need. You just need to be,
Be excellent to each other.
be
Yeah,
excellent to each other.
don't be an mine would be don't be an asshole, but I like be excellent to each other better.
Yeah, be excellent to each other. Yeah, yeah. It's always the one treat. I can't remember that comic. I was
Wild
it
stallions forever.
Wild Signs Forever, 8 billion genies, where it was, I wish that everyone would love the way they want to be loved. So just love the way you want
Mm,
to be loved, people.
yeah,
That's the way to be in the world, as far as I'm
yeah,
concerned.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
Bendy
Good.
Clan for life.
For life. Do you want to do you're now he's avoiding talking about joy.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Let's do 20 more minutes of clans. Uh, so two things. There are gonna be things that I've watched because I've been like, I've been very busy, and I've obviously been away at the weekend. Board gaming with friends always brings me joy, so that has been pretty important. I am still completely in love with Shogun TV show. Have I talked about that on here at
No, you have
all?
not. Mm-mm.
Okay, I'll just talk about that this week. It's friggin' incredible. It's well worth a look. It's such an interesting, like, it was based in a book that's what, 40, 50 years old. It had a mini series in like 1980.
It's a
So
thick book.
it
I
is,
looked at it once and I was like, there's no way I can get through that.
apparently it's fantastic, and apparently it's very well
Yep.
written. But anyway, so the show's really superb, and they have kind of changed it because apparently the original TV show was very much about the English guy and his sort of reaction to everything. Whereas this is very much about, both sides. But how they kind of handle, and I just kind of watched a video on this, which is why it's so fresh in my head, how they handle translation is so interesting. Like you kind of see how the message has kind of changed to meet cultural sort of norms and things like that in both directions in such sort of fascinating and interesting ways, and how like translation changes like if the translator essentially in the show, it's an Englishman arrives in Japan, and up until then the only Westerners they knew were Portuguese people, and the Portuguese and the English were at war at that point, or were fighting a lot. So all of his translators were essentially his enemies, and how that affects translation, and how he tries to get his message across when he doesn't have somebody who will
Tools.
accurately translate his words. It's a great show. It's well worth a look.
Okay, good. We're doing Mad Max education.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, are they ready for Mad Max? And Mike's like, yeah, like put on the best one. And I was like, all right, I'm putting on Thunderdome. And he's like, no, it's Road Warrior. So like we've been arguing over that.
Mhm.
So we watched Thunderdome first. Totally holds up.
Yeah, I have not seen
Totally holds
Thunderdome in a
up.
long time.
So fucking good, dude.
Hmm.
So good. Um, and like just like pre-steam, like steampunk came at it, like just so creative with what they had.
Hmm.
And like so many things have copied that film, including Burning Man.
Hmm.
Like everyone looks like, and now there's something out here, it's called Wasteland. Have you heard of that?
Yes, again.
Where people know it's a party. It's a weekend wasteland where
Interesting.
people dress up like Mad Max and they literally all go road warrior in the desert.
Love it.
Um, it would be cooler if it was in Australia, right? But
Yeah.
like, we just like grabbing everyone's
I
ideas.
mean, it's, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's just like, George Miller really kept that the theme of like this is what we have left after an apocalypse, like these are the cars, these are the costumes, like as you watch, like the original Mad Max is not my favorite. It's kind of weird and boring and slow.
Hmm.
So like start with Road Warrior, and then like just watching them, like he's got gas here, and then like Thunderdome, like no more gas, they got to work with methane, and then like Fury Road, which is the next one we're going to watch. They're like trucking around water because like they're running out of water, and that's like, so it's just like watching the earth slowly progress into like nothingness,
Yeah,
and like I don't know, I'm just excited to see Fury Road and like
that's
watch that guy
interesting.
play the guitar.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
So I'm just loving Mad Max right now, and
I
it's bringing me joy.
I like
And I
it.
love it when like something holds up. It's
Yes.
not like like, oh, I love The Last Unicorn as a kid, and then you watch it again and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah.
I watched that like 600 times, and watching it as an adult, and you're just like,
Yeah. It's 100% happened to me. Like I remember like one of my exes showing her Gross Point Blank and going, "This movie's so good." And
yeah, I love that movie.
I do love it, but like I watched it. This was about 5 years, 6 years ago now, and I was like, I don't know if it wasn't quite as good as I remember. That's a wee bit disappointing. Um, and she hated it as well, which is kind of interesting experience when you're like, this movie's so
So
good.
good.
You gotta see it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's fine.
I don't think I've seen like all of the Mad Max movies, but so long ago. It's an interesting thought for a revisit,
It's worth a revisit for
especially because
sure.
we've got Furiosa coming out soonish
Furiosa,
as well.
yeah.
So yeah,
I
interesting.
wish it was, yeah. I wish the casting had been different for that, but
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I like to be surprised.
Who are you talking about?
No one?
You better not be talking about Anya Taylor-Joy.
I am. I
What? How dare you?
am. I am.
You're not a Queen's Gambit fan? No.
I loved her in that. I loved
Okay.
her in that. I'm a little saturated right now.
I understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
she is everywhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Like she
fair.
showed up in Dune for 2 seconds, and I was
Yes,
like,
she
fucking of
did.
course she did.
And I
So,
was like fist pump in the air. It's
yay!
like, yeah, she's
Well,
there.
she's in Peaky Blinders too.
Oh, is she?
So it's
Oh,
like Peaky
okay.
Blinder. It's like she's literally in everything I'm
I
watching.
see.
And
I
I
see.
loved Queen's Gambit.
Yeah,
And
she
that
was
what a
fantastic in that.
character.
I know. It
Yeah, what
was
a
such a
character.
show. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I was like, if I was going to be a chess player, I would want to be as badass as
Yeah.
her and be like smoking and drinking and doing all the drugs.
Yeah, she
That
she
would be
ruled.
me.
Yeah, she was so cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Chess.
good old chess.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, okay. I think so. What have we got? I got on my list. I've got to watch the Road Warrior movie.
Amadeus.
Amadeus. Oh no, yeah, that's true.
I know.
Okay, so
When you're
not
feeling happier.
yeah, that's that. Okay, okay. See it at the land. Like, that makes sense. Okay, okay. So folks, just as we wrap things up, we'd like to remind you as always, if you could please follow us, subscribe to us and whatever sort of platform you listen to us on. It really kind of helps us a lot. Recommend us to friends, etc., etc. We would love that. Do you have anything else to add, Beth?
No, just our website is bendypodcast.com and check us out. Got videos, other weird things going on there always. So
Cool. All
always
right.
updating. Yep.
Thanks, folks. So as always, we would like to remind you to
Bendy. I laughed.
My voice cracked Beth out.
So you're trying to go as high as you possibly could. It was really high.
Yeah. All right. We love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye, 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 bye.
All right. Good stuff.
I am fucking racist.